Hi, I'd like to call the meeting of the Library Commission with a start time of 6:35. Welcome to the July 21st, 2025 meeting of the Library Commission. This is a hybrid meeting with commissioners, city staff, and members of the public participating in person at the Aralaga Family Recreation Center in accordance with public health guidelines for in-person meetings, and the public participating remotely. Commissioners present for the roll call include Kim Crockett, Carol Horton, Sarah Sispot, Scott Schaefer, Brian Westcott, and Daniel Ewell. Commissioner Ewell is participating remotely under provisions of the Brown Act. Staff present include Assistant Library and Community Services Director Nick Shagda, Management Analyst Ashley Walker. Ashley will be helping facilitate the meeting. Ashley, will you please take a moment and provide instructions to the commission and members of the public in attendance on how the meeting will proceed?
Thank you, Chair. For members of the public who are attending this meeting virtually and wish to provide public funding, after the chair calls for public comment on the item you wish to speak on, please engage the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. For those of you who are calling in from a landline or cell phone, please press *9 to raise your virtual hand. Members of the public attending remotely who wish to speak, please take a moment to make sure your first and last name are updated on Zoom, or you may provide your name and the spelling as you're called to speak. Public comment will be heard in the order received and is limited to 3 minutes in length. For members of the public attending in person, there are speaker cards available on the table. Please complete one and turn it in to myself or another staff member before public comment is called for the item you wish to speak on. If there are a large number of public commenters, time limit may be adjusted by the chair in order to allow everyone a chance to comment. When your turn for online public comment has arrived, staff will unmute you. With that, I'll return the meeting to the chair.
Thank you, Ashley. Under public comment, the public may address the commission on any subject not listed on the agenda. Each speaker may address the commission once under public comment for a limited of 3 minutes. You are not required to provide your name or city of residence, but it's helpful. The commission cannot act on items not listed on the agenda, and therefore the commission cannot respond to non-agenda issues brought up under public comment other than to provide general information. Do we have any public comment on items not appearing on the agenda?
This is a call for any public comment for items not on the agenda. No public comment.
Thank you. Chair, excuse me. We begin tonight with a study session on the annual commission report out to the city council. Assistant Director Shazda will make a presentation. We will take public comment and then open the item to the commission for discussion.
All right. Thank you, Vice Chair. So this is a draft of the presentation that the chair will make at the end of August to the City Council on the past year's work plan. And so this is a draft, and please, I'm going to be taking this seriously as you guys are discussing this. So, and I'm sure that Michael will also have some comments after he's seen it and heard the discussion. So to give one more, we can have one more bite at this at our August meeting, but we could probably get quite a bit of it done. So I'm just going to walk through it here, or yeah, next slide, please. And then after, well, how do we want to do this, Ashley? Should we do the whole presentation and then take public comment? Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So first slide just has some of the goals sort of under regular business, and we can change that category or categorization if you want, but these seem to be sort of like the things that the Library Commission does mostly year in and year out. And next slide. I have put some nice hopefully nice photos in between. This is one of our intergenerational story time kids and seniors that we had at the Bellhaven Community Campus. Next slide. So then, focusing in a little more on goals 2 and 4, the work of the ad hoc subcommittee. And then I sort of lay out both of those goals there. And then tell when the subcommittee was formed. I'm gonna get into a little more details in a couple of slides. Oh, on the next slide. So here are some things that some of the things that I pulled out that the ad hoc subcommittee had done. And we can talk about if you want to edit these or add to them. And the next slide is this is from New Year's Eve. So on New Year's Eve at noon, we had a New Year's Eve party in the main library with a puppet show and ice cream and hats and noisemakers. And I think we got like more than 300 people. It was kind of in that house. We weren't expecting it to be so popular because, you know, families with little kids don't often get to stay up late and celebrate the new year. So we thought it would be kind of cool to do this. And it was very successful. Next slide. And then here's a sort of catch-all for things that didn't fit into like the regular business, even though they are kind of regular business. I only have one policy there. I was racking my brain to see if we had done more than one policy review in the past year, and I will look through again to make sure to see if I missed something. And then next slide. And then here's makerspace crafts going on, an intergenerational one there, actually both, but one's here purposefully intergenerational. And then those in the corner are our lovely children's library beauties who are over at the Bellhaven Campus Children's Library. All right, so this is sort of pointing towards some of the 25, 26 things that you guys are discussing. And a lot of it is focusing on the work of the subcommittee. And sort of thanking them for their help and asking them if they have any feedback for the commission. I think that's it. I think the next slide is a thank you statement. Some musical performances at the campus. So I'll pause there and let you guys call for public comment, and then we can start to dive into it.
Ashley, do we have any public comment on this item?
Are there any public comments on item D1? Preparing a commission report out to city council on the 24-25 work plan. No public comment.
No. Okay, let's open it up for commission discussion. Any? Oh, Commissioner Crockett.
I just have a few like additions,
Yeah.
as you said, on a few of the things, but on the one side of the ad hoc subcommittee work, over the past year.
Okay.
We visited 7 libraries. And we held the focus groups, but also surveyed specific age groups and affinity groups. So we did both focus groups and surveys.
Okay, survey, so, surveyed, affinity groups and,
Affinity groups and, well, the teens. So, but it's, you know, our work plan was specific age groups. We were supposed to be focusing on, so we focused on the teens and we were able to do that. We didn't get to some of the other age groups yet.
I was just gonna say, if we refer to,
Yeah, you-
HG 11, all the things we did are in bullet points on our report, so you could
Right,
break
you
off
just
that.
Right, right.
Although I think I put, on that one that we visited 8 libraries, because of 2 Palo Alto libraries, but we just
Oh,
listed as
I
5.
see, I see.
I did a separate visit, but we can say 7. It doesn't-
8 sounds good to me.
Wait,
8, okay.
it is.
All right, I will do that. I don't wanna make it, the thing with these is I don't wanna make them too busy. I wanna give
Yeah,
Michael a chance to kind of talk a little bit about them and not just like read a long list of things. So, but I think I can pull at least, I think the surveys are important to put in there and correct, 6.8.
They're also, I mean, as you said, it's on the list of the documents that you provided, but the literature review and we reviewed the department survey results to pull out library specific information. I'm not sure if that was that, you. So,
So-
same thing, yeah. I think it's important to put as a bullet point because it sort of informs what the recommendations are, what we're.
Right. You're pulling it from
Yeah.
a lot of
that's
different
important.
sources.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, okay. I think I can add those.
In under reviewed library programs and services, that includes literature review.
That doesn't, I think that's more of a general, you were reviewing the programs and services that are offered at the library. It's kind of a catch-all. I mean, it's when you're talking to people about ESL classes, or when you're talking about. You know, do you need a volunteer coordinator? I mean, that's sort of, that falls under that bullet point, I would say.
I think Nick makes a good point that we don't want it to be too detailed in a PowerPoint, but maybe with a little bit more than this, but not as much as what's up.
Not as much as you
know.
want, okay.
Yeah,
And, you know, I will put in, certainly I'll change 6 to 8, I'll put in the surveys. And then maybe I leave it to Michael to add or subtract sort of how he wants to tailor the report.
He can go into more detail under the findings when he actually presents.
Right.
I think is good. Okay.
And Commissioner, you'll just use that raise hand feature so it pops up that we know that you're, yeah, there we go, like that.
I just had a couple of very small points on starting on the first slide, where we talk about regular business. Do we want to tie that to the work plan? Like, are these things from the work plan directly?
Yeah,
points?
they are.
Okay, and so the other parts of the work plan are sort of related to the ad hoc subcommittee, or I guess I'm wondering like what things are here versus elsewhere in the work plan.
I think with this slide and with the the 2 ad hoc subcommittee items, I think that covers the 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5. I seem to be missing one, but I'll have to go back and look and see which one it was. that I left
Gotcha.
off. And it was.
And so the 2 goals on the ad hoc subcommittee slide are referring to the work plan goals then?
Correct.
Okay, because I was a little confused about what the numbers meant because there weren't sort of anywhere else. These are very small little details, just to be very clear. But just when I was reading through it,
That's a good point. If I don't reference the numbers anywhere else except on the ad hoc subcommittee, it seems a little weird. So either put the numbers in everywhere or take them out everywhere.
and one other thing, you mentioned you were thinking of other policies. I seem to recall reviewing the makerspace policy,
Yes.
rental policy as well.
All right. Thank you. Very helpful. Any other comments? Questions? Does it seem? Yes.
Just a quick comment that I love the photo. I think the illustrations are fantastic.
Good. Just trying to show a little fizz
Right.
for the council.
Okay.
So I will make these changes, transmit them to Michael so he can see the result of the discussion, then he'll put together how he wants to do it for August, if he wants to add anything else at the August meeting. Maybe this comes back as an info item, so we don't really have to like dig into it too much, just thank you. That's it.
Okay, Any other comments? All right, thank you. All right, under regular business, the library commission considers recommendations from city staff on policy matters or administrative actions that require library commission approval. We'll begin regular business with item E1, approving the minutes from the June 16th, 2025 meeting. Ashley, do we have any public comments on this item?
Do we have any public comments on item E1, approving the minutes from the June, what was it?
June 16th.
16.
June 16th, 2025 meeting? No public comment.
Any library commission comments? Would a commissioner like to make a motion to approve the minutes? Councilman Superintendent. Commissioner, yes, Schaefer,
Schaefer motion,
motion,
Crockett seconded.
great.
You want me to do a roll call, or you gonna do a roll call?
Sure, go ahead.
So I'm gonna do a roll call to see how we vote on the motion to approve the minutes from the June 16th meeting. Commissioner Crockett, how do you vote?
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Orton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sispot, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Vice Chair Westcott, how do you vote?
Yes,
And Commissioner Yule, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
all right. The next item, consider assigning commission members as information liaisons to library affiliate groups for 2025 and 26. Staff will provide a brief introduction to the item. We'll take public comment and then begin our discussion.
This will be a very brief introduction because we do this every year. There are currently commissioners assigned to the library affiliate groups. Commissioner Crockett is assigned to the Friends, Commissioner Orton the Foundation, and Chair Herrick the Peninsula Library System. So the item just comes up in case you guys want to talk about changing up the liaison assignments or adding ones or taking them away. And that's my very brief presentation.
All right, Ashley, are there any public comments on this item?
Are there any public comments on item E2? Consider assigning commission liaisons to affiliate groups. No public comment.
No, public. Okay. Would a commissioner like to, I'd like to open this to the commission for discussion. The discussion on the affiliates assignments, okay.
I will say that I'm willing to continue as the liaison to the foundation.
All right, so Commissioner Orr would like to continue her affiliations. Any other input? Commissioner Crockett?
I'd love to continue on with the Friends as the liaison to the commission as well.
Okay,
That's, okay.
yes,
I think it's wonderful that we have liaisons, and I just, as a newer member, I was wondering, has anyone ever been a liaison to any of the other towns' library commissions? I know, Atherton doesn't have one, and Palo Alto disbanded theirs, but Redwood City has a library board, which is sort of similar to this. They have a meeting tomorrow, I was thinking of attending, and we probably don't need an official liaison. I was just wondering if there had ever been other liaisons besides these groups.
There have been in the past, liaisons to the Menlo Park Historical Association. And to the nonprofit group that supported, the Project Read when we had an adult literacy program. There was a liaison to that group, I think the group was called Project Read Menlo Park, I think. Or in so yes, there have been a couple of other ones as well.
so, that could be something to consider in the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I might listen to the meeting tomorrow just to check it out.
Yeah.
And we'd welcome report back next meeting.
Sounds good.
All right,
One other question on that, I think that's a great idea, and gathering that information, have we ever had liaisons to the school districts, like to Ravenswood and to Menlo Park City School District and their,
We haven't,
because it seems like it would be an important information flow.
we haven't in the past, no, yeah.
For program sharing too and things, it seems that, that might be something, I think it would be really good to get feedback from those school districts with our programs and services, so. I mean, I'd be
good.
willing to look into that. For wonderful, or
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a good idea, and maybe a quick word about, the expectations of an informational liaison, so that people don't feel like they are compelled to attend every single meeting of the school board or every single meeting of another jurisdiction's library commission or board meeting. The idea is to have just sort of individual commissioners more responsible for that information flow to particular organizations. So it can be, contacting by email, even the board and getting a report from them. It could be participating in the board's meetings as a member of the audience. All of that works. It's just I think the driving idea is better and more frequent communication between the library commission and these other organizations that are in the same constellation as the library.
Right.
And I'm just making a comment as a former school board member. It doesn't seem like it would be a very productive use of one's time to go to school board meetings because they cover so many topics, not just about programs that are interfaced with libraries. So it might be something that our librarians might have a better idea of. I know it's hard to keep up with who's the librarian at the, or even the principals, if there are a number of different school districts that are part of Menlo Park, Alcibiades, Menlo Park City, Ravenswood. So that plus I don't even know about charter schools. So there's something to consider, it's like, there's been a lot of time sitting in meetings. Listening to
Yeah.
positive, nothing. to
I guess
do.
I was thinking more about their libraries and the school libraries,
Mhm.
but I don't know, they're not.
I don't remember hearing much about that at a school board meeting, but.
Yeah, right.
But we might consider, once a year to start or something to align goals and to just understand what, they're feeling. As a start, because these affiliate programs are monthly now, so that would. But we should consider in the future, more broad contact with the
Yeah.
library community, I guess.
And even if you don't officially assign a commissioner as, I don't know why I'm making private fingers, officially assign a commissioner as an informational liaison. Commissioners can go and attend meetings, can read meeting minutes, can visit libraries and then report back out to the full commission. I visited, the Beechwood School, the charter school that's right across from me. Visited the Beechwood School, talked to the librarian there, and here's what they told me about the services that they submitted with you, so that's what. So,
Okay. Any other comments? All right, would a commissioner like to make a motion to assign commission members to the affiliate groups we discussed? Anyone like to make a motion?
That we assign,
Commissioner,
Commissioner Orton, and move that we assign the commissioners to the two affinity groups we discussed.
okay, first, anyone second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Through the chair, just a point of clarification, Commissioner Orton, there's three, because I think Chair
Right.
Herrick is assigned as a.
Okay, 3.
All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Orton and seconded by Commissioner Schaefer to assign 3 commission members as informational liaisons. Working to the foundation, Crockett to the Friends of the Library, and Herrick to Peninsula Library System. Do a roll call vote. Commissioner Crockett, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Orton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sisdot, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer, oh, I put you in the wrong order alphabetically, that's how bad I was there. Commissioner Schaefer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Vice Chair Westcott, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Commissioner Yule, how do you vote?
Yes.
And the motion passes unanimously, thank you.
All right, moving on. Informational items are transmitted to the Library Commission as staff's effort to provide an update on matters of importance to the commission. Information items are not action items, however, a commissioner, city staff member, or a member of the public may request to make a comment or ask a question on any of the information items. First item, draft of the Library Commission work plan.
So I tried to capture the discussion from last meeting as a way to sort of preview the discussion that's going to be next meeting, where you're going to be actually voting to recommend a work plan to the city council. So this is all the narrative part. Ashley, if you could go to the attachment, that's just the proposed draft plan, that might be the easiest. I think it's, there it is. Thank you very much. That's the old one. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I apologize. There we go.
There it is.
It's got, I'm gonna have a big drag all over it. So, there was some talk about trying to group the sort of regular business items, under one item. And then, breaking out carrying over the two items that were the ad hoc subcommittee's work. And then, talking a little, putting a little more detail under that support and advise, item. And then in number 5, specifically calling out the library division's budget rather than just the department's budget as a whole. And so that's what I came up with. But if you wanna give me quick notes now, that's great. Otherwise, it will come back again as a regular business item or study session in August.
Okay. Ashley, do we have any public comment on this item?
Do we have any public comment on item F1, draft of library division work plan for 2025-26? No public comment.
Do you have a comment, Commissioner Crockett? I saw your hand
Yes.
drifting up
Okay.
a couple of times.
Yeah, I just wondered if for number 5, we could clarify that we're reviewing the proposed library division budget to provide for the commission to be able to provide feedback on potential impacts to library programs and services before it gets presented, because otherwise I don't see how we're helpful. We're just receiving an information and instead of actually
Right.
helping.
The where we got bogged down was the sort of order that the budgets get presented and reviewed. And from what I was hearing from Sean at last meeting, the budget gets presented and reviewed by the city council first. So reviewing it after the city council has approved it seems a little futile perhaps,
Yeah.
but we actually have the staff have an opportunity at mid-year to put in budget amendments and changes, requests to the budget. So if you review it after it's been approved, if you go, hey, hang on, this thing here where you're not spending any money on books, doesn't seem like a really good idea, we would have an opportunity to go back to the city council and go, hey, the library commission said this and that, and it sounds good, and we wanna change. We wanna put in these amendments to the budget. So it's not as impactful as reviewing it before it goes to the city council, but given the restrictions of the order, I think it's better, it's certainly better than not reviewing it at all and getting it over at all.
I have a comment slash question. I wonder if it would be helpful if we put something in about doing a past looking review before the new budget gets proposed, so that the library commission has an opportunity to give feedback to the Sean or Nick or whoever before they make the proposal to the city council.
Oh, so
And
like,
the timeline was so short, it was
Yeah.
meeting, it was impossible. We were given the budget on, I think, May 28th, and then 1 week later, it was presented to the city council. So rather than try to rush in there and have conflict around getting numbers, maybe as an advisory body, we take a look at what the budget was for the prior fiscal year. So set a date like in March, look back and say, did this
this
seem
works,
like,
this didn't
did
work.
this work or not, or do we think that there needs to be more for staff? Needs to be added, and so that input could be given
Mhm.
before they get so far down the road that it's not really feasible to
Yeah,
address that. Just an idea.
I like that, but I think you're gonna have to, I mean, that's for you guys to decide where you want to do it. It seems to me that that would be most useful sort of at the end of the year or the very beginning of the year, so December or January, where that's when the budget formation starts for the year. So if you could look back in January and go, here's how it's been going over the past 6 months, this is what we've noticed. And, or ask us questions, I saw this line in the budget, and where's that going, and how's that going? You could get some useful information that
So I think it would be really helpful to have a more transparent report on the budget that isn't mixed in with Parks and Rec. Or where we have to go and look on OpenGov and try to pull it all out, and we could compare year to year and talk about it in an open discussion. And so January, February, something like that, before things get going too far down the road.
Right. Maybe we can work on 5 and add, make it more specific and add some other clauses
Like
like,
historical.
yeah, I would call it an audit.
Yeah,
We should do an audit maybe of the previous year budget and how it related to, you know, results. And I would add, it'd be nice to benchmark our budget versus, you know, like cities to see where we stand.
Okay, so
And
we'll,
in that cycle, I did have a question. When do you, you know, structure the budget and you start in January and you submit it in March?
starting with January and Ronnie Singh, who's our internal services manager, she can probably, will probably correct me tomorrow if I get the sequence wrong. But start the budget. In my recollection, the memo from finance goes out in early February that says, now we're opening it up for editing and we want you, you know, that's when they start building like the cost of the employees module that they put in, sort of shows you all that personnel stuff and benefits and all that costs. And then the departments start building their, everything that's not personnel, that's when they start building that for the coming year.
So if we gave you feedback by February, or it should be at least
January, February.
January,
would be good, yeah.
you could incorporate. So if we could add date, you know, something like specific dates to
January.
January. Okay,
and even added to our list of annually recurring activities, so that it's in multiple places to remind everybody.
right.
Okay.
So those are notes for next, I think, for discussion next week.
You got it.
Okay. All right, so we don't have to, there's no votes. And we had no public comment. So next item, F2, library, recreation and parks community survey results.
Well, I'll start, but I think I'll have Ashley jump in at some point. So there's a lot of ways to slice and dice the results of the recent survey. And what we did was try to do some focus more on library facilities, library programs, library comments. And now with any analysis, and hopefully you're gonna tell us, well, why did you look at this, or maybe you could look at it this way, so that we could go back and slice it again. We did a few early ones, if you scroll down, yes. So, things about, people from different neighborhoods, which facilities do they use? No real surprises there. I didn't see the, people tend to use the things that are closer to where they are. And, especially with the libraries, how often people use or visit certain facilities, is very split by neighborhood, which is not, too surprising. So no surprises there. Then we took a look at the sort of satisfaction ones. This one is, are you satisfied with the physical buildings and spaces in particular locations? And we peeled out the people who didn't respond to those questions, so that we got sort of a clearer look at it. I think if you can't be bothered to answer, I don't think you should affect the weighting. And then the same with customer service. You can see the libraries, that everything ranked very high. The lowest score is still over 3 on a scale of 1 to 4, so that's pretty good. But the libraries rank really high, which speaks to the excellent service that's provided there. Next, these are parks. We're less interested in the parks here, I think, for the library commission. Was there one more?
There's a few.
Oh, okay, here we go. How important are these particular services, and this one focusing on people who go to the libraries a lot? So the people who go to the libraries a lot, and then also splitting out people who don't go to the libraries a lot. Just to compare and see if they had different opinions. Books were important to the people who went to the libraries a lot, and the people who rarely go to the libraries still think books are important. But they also value quiet places to read and study higher than the people who visited the libraries. Some of the things that, so the top of these charts to me, to someone who's working here, are interesting, like here are the non-users and what they think that we should be providing. But also it's interesting to see the things at the bottom of the charts too. What do they think we should not be providing? And down at the bottom of the list of things provided, laptops to take home, which is kind of interesting. People didn't want laptops to take home. Teams do pretty well, both for heavy users and for non-users. There's a real interest in teams being able to use the library and to have services and events and opportunities for teams. That's the rec one, so we're gonna save that for Wednesday. And then
This is outdoor recreation.
outdoor rec. And then we have, so I'll stop there and see if you have any comments about those things. And then we have, Ashley had a Herculean effort to take the free text comments and try to categorize them in ways that made sense. Which is tough, because there were 1,000 free text comments. Which is a lot of free text comments to try to categorize, but if you have any thoughts, suggestions about how we did with this first pass at it, let us know. We'd like to hear it, and then we'll go over to the free text section.
I have a question. For the first section, Ashley, with the percentages of how often Bellhaven residents and Central Menlo residents use, how many, responses were there from people that fit in each of those categories?
Good question. I have that, let me have a minute here. What?
And just sort of a quick recap, the survey was in the field for about 6 weeks. We pushed hard to get people to answer it, having it available in paper at various facilities, but also pushing it out in our newsletter to class attendees, to people who were showing up at story times. And we got a really good response. I think we got 1,300 responses. It's just really good.
Yeah.
And a lot of really good, interesting free text comments.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, how many of them were from the Bellhaven area versus the geographical area set up when you say, for example, you know.
80-some% was
Yeah,
that, yeah,
X% is.
was it 80 people or was it? 500
Exactly,
people?
that's what I'm curious about, like 78% go. Weekly and monthly, how many people is that? Once you got rid of the ones who didn't answer that or.
Got you.
Was already just, yeah.
And I see that Commissioner Yule has a hand raised, so but before he weighs in with another question while Ashley was looking at the first question, let's maybe give Ashley a second to see if she can find that answer to that first question.
I think I'll just share this screen. Okay.
Speaking with Ashley a little earlier, we could probably spend an hour on this if you guys really wanted to nerd out on it, but I think maybe taking bites of it over the next couple of meetings is probably the saner thing to do, so I'm sorry.
So just looking at the library here. So there's these two charts, let me see. So in the one that we displayed, there's these. But there's also one that sort of smushes together the more than once a week, once or twice a week, and sort of like the monthly users all into one, so we could see a little more clearly. So this is where those all came from. I don't know if this is.
So it's like 61 users, but it doesn't say where they're from, that's the other thing.
It,
Oh,
It does.
I'm sorry, it does. I
Yeah.
just didn't read the title. How often do Bellhaven and Bayfront residents typically use or visit these indoor locations? So of the 61 people who self-identified as Bellhaven or Bayfront, that's the breakdown. So 61 was the respondents on those. And then it was 190
Okay.
Central Menlo, Felton Gables, or Field Oaks residents.
And just a clarifying question, did you, for the Central Menlo, Felton Gables, Enfield, why wouldn't it be just the rest of Menlo Park? If you're covering everybody, I mean, some people must.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of those
We did
people
Sharon
are,
Heights.
are Sharon Heights and things like that. I think we were trying to see if there was anything, if we were gonna be surprised by anything like, oh, Bellhaven residents don't like this facility in their neighborhood and they use this one over on the Burgess campus, or, oh, these people are close to the Burgess campus, but for some reason they don't like the facilities there, and so they're going over to Bellhaven to use the facility.
So
that's
do
what we're
Sharon
trying to
Heights
do.
residents get reflected anywhere?
Oh, yeah, we just didn't break them out for this. I mean, they're certainly, they're in the survey results. We just, this was the lens that we
Yeah,
wanted to look at
okay.
that particular question through. And then Commissioner Yule, thank you for being patient.
Yeah, So I dug into this specific question a bit on my own. I looked at the Excel sheets and looked at some of the results. And as you mentioned, there are 61 respondents from Belhaven and Bayfront. But I also compared that to the census results for that area versus Menlo Park as a whole. And it basically, those areas are seriously underrepresented in the data. It should have been something like 20% of the responses were from that area, but it was only like 5%. Um, and as a sort of an adjoining piece to that, I found that it's of the people who responded from Belhaven, the vast majority had gone to the library at least once a year. Almost nobody said never. It was a very small number. Whereas the respondents from the rest of Menlo Park, there was a whole lot of people who had never gone to the library. So it seems like for Belhaven, the main way that we got people to fill out the survey was library users. But that did not catch non-library users in Belhaven. Um, and I guess I don't have an exact point. I was just wondering if this is a pattern that you had noticed or had any thoughts about how we could try to get the survey out there to more people next time. Yeah, those are my various comments.
Yeah, those are great comments. I think city staff have pretty consistently struggled to get survey feedback from the residents of Belhaven, and we've tried all sorts of ways. We stood out in front of grocery stores and laundromats and distributed surveys back when we were doing planning for a new branch library. We're with the aquatic services, which is doesn't really overlap with this commission's work, but the topic does. We're trying to get sort of ambassadors who are very connected in the community and giving them flyers and surveys and things to take out into their church groups or the Boys and Girls Club or the neighborhood association groups. But it's still been a tough nut to crack. I could suppose on a whole lot of things, but I don't know how accurate any of my suppositions would be about why folks seem, or why we get fewer results from the Belhaven community than from the rest of the city. So that could be a whole meeting on its own, but it is something that the city as a whole has struggled with, not just our department, because that 5%, while it seems pretty bad, is actually a pretty good result compared to some of the other surveys that have gone out recently, specifically in the Belhaven neighborhood, trying to capture information about converting gas appliances to, or trying to promote a program that converts gas appliances to all electric appliances and that pays for electrification in the Belhaven neighborhood. That team in the city is trying to piggyback on the library's ability to reach people in the community. So that's a long way of saying that, yes, we've noticed it. And we've tried all sorts of things to try to fix it, but not really done a fantastic job of it, as you see, as you point out, 20% of the population, but only 5% of our survey respondents.
Okay, but the point is you make an act of that.
Absolutely, yeah.
You at least balance the issue.
We absolutely acknowledge the issue and open to any and all ideas about how to reach more people, or how to not only reach more people, but how to engage more people, because I think we're reaching them. It's just that they don't respond back, or they don't see how it affects them, so they're not as interested in replying to a survey.
I noticed that the very active suggestion box submissions from Belhaven. So maybe there's a way to connect if you want, we would take a little bit of surveys and we.
You can't make a suggestion unless you take the survey.
Well, Yeah, I know.
I mean, there are-
It's maybe a strong, like, we could maybe link up the opportunity to make it easy to do it when you're leaving a suggestion.
Right.
If they're going to the trouble and they care enough to leave the suggestion,
Yeah,
maybe they would be more amenable to taking the survey. Or giving some feedback.
and Commissioner Yule, I see you've got your hand raised again, unless that's still up from before.
No, that I raised it a second time. I want to say thank you for your response, and I really appreciate that. I think that's really great. I'm wondering if we look at our work plan, I think that getting more engagement for information about library usage falls into a number of the categories, like with the focus on Bellhaven, with the sort of increasing public participation. I don't quite know what form it would look like, but would it make sense for us to have some kind of working session where we try and think up ideas for a way to do that? I don't know it will be successful, but would that be a worthwhile thing for the commission to put on the agenda for an upcoming meeting?
I'll begin, yes, I think we could at least, maybe at the work plan for next year, next meeting, we should at least discuss the idea of having a session or a part of a session on community outreach. Because we've had some of the same issue with the ad hoc committee is getting focus groups to participate in things. So yeah, let's add that to next month's work test.
Great.
All right, any other comments, discussion?
Where we have more data, if you want to see more.
Yes,
data.
oh, okay, yeah.
You guys, we could go, I don't wanna go till 9 o'clock tonight, but
No.
we could go another 10 minutes at least, I think.
That's.
Okay, well, listen,
So this is our first pass at breaking up the survey results into something a little bit more manageable where the comments are concerned.
All right, I'm gonna minimize Commissioner Yule, your smiling face, I'm just gonna minimize you a little bit here. So that we're looking at the screen. Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh. Sorry.
To minimize mine too, I can't see what I'm presenting here. So just a little background as a refresher.
Yeah.
In late spring, early summer, we conducted a library parks and recreation survey. We had 1,115 participants and 1,670 free text comments, and that's all the free text comments. So that's gonna include like, if you live in a different neighborhood, Rebel Park, tell us where. So that's total of all the comments. Comments were read and categorized. Categorization included adding a location if it was possible, and then placing comments into one of the following 11 categories. So we have things that are pretty self-explanatory here and some that aren't. So access, I think, is one that is not very self-explanatory, and it has to do with like the logistic ability to access our facilities. So things like hours, fees, enrollment spaces, feeling welcome, convenience of locations, and parking and availability. Common examples are available on the right. Accessibility, which is specific to special needs, ADA compliance, issues for seniors, anything that fell into that category was accessibility. Comments and general remarks, where we couldn't really take action on them, but they may give context or opinions about how much somebody likes a park in the whole park. Compliments are positive feedback, but that are not necessarily action items. Customer service, anything here is about an area of improvement for customer service. It does not include any compliments. Safety and enforcement is going to be anything relating to enforcement of a policy, municipal code violations, so like dogs on leash, parks closed after hours, other safety concerns, and compliance of well, policies really, like rental policies, anything like that. Marketing and communications is any feedback or advertising about social media, community communication. It includes comments on our surveys. It includes our other outreach efforts. So if people say, update your website more frequently, that's marketing and communications. Other is things that maybe don't even fit into the category of library and community service. So some people just wanted to say at the end of the survey, this street in front of my house really needs repairs. That would be in the category of other. Pickleball and tennis. And self-explanatory programming, is gonna be anything where they just want us to offer a different program, not necessarily build something new or dedicate a new space to it, although possibly. But that's gonna be something like have more programs having to do with museums, or bring us more programs having to do with equity or sports or whatever they want. Renovation, upgrades, and maintenance, these are all crammed into one and then broken down into subcategories, like many of them are. So renovation, upgrades, and maintenance is gonna be physical improvements to the spaces, or if somebody said, we want meeting rooms and that space does not have any possible way to make the space work for a meeting room, then it would need a renovation, so it got put into that category. Resources are things, they usually pertain to the library specifically, so it's gonna be things like ebooks, books, maybe housing resources or job resources, laptops, Wi-Fi hotspots, anything like that. So there were 7 questions asked in the survey that pertain or that really encourage free text comments. 4 of them we'll go over today, and these are the 4 that we'll cover. If you could change the physical buildings or spaces in these locations, what would you improve? So that you visit them more often. If you could change the customer service at these locations, what would you improve? Please tell us your ideas, needs, and suggestions for library and information resources, and please tell us any other ideas, needs, or complaints or suggestions. The 3 that we won't cover so much today are specific to recreation activities, so it asks specifically about indoor recreation, outdoor recreation, and then improvement at park spaces. So what did the library comments tell us? So when I looked at these and started breaking them into categories, I did try to keep them with the question because the question gave what people answered more context. So the first question we'll cover is, if you could change the physical buildings or spaces in the locations, what would you improve to make you visit more often? We received a total of 377 free text responses. 78 were general responses, or it was unclear what location they were talking about. 126 were about other parks and recreation facilities, 4 were specific to Bellhaven Library, and 169 were specific to Menlo Park Library. So this is the breakdown, just looking at library-specific responses and taking the other facilities that are not as related out of it. As you can see, a lot of comments around renovation, upgrades and maintenance, programming, and then access real far behind there. It was a total of 103 comments having to do with renovation, upgrades, and maintenance for the library. And when we break those down into subcategories, or just looking at renovation, upgrades, and maintenance, these are the categories that those fell into. So they wanted to update or upgrade the facility, 86 people did. 11 people said just get new furniture. 4 people said new more cleaning, and 1 person said redo the plants outside so that they're native. And then 1 person wanted updated Wi-Fi equipment in the building. Programming was the 2nd highest responded to category for that question. 32 of the requests fell under programming. There were 7 suggestions to add an area for a cafe. Some of them were saying they had it outside. Some of them said like invite somebody into a satellite cafe. Some said build a cafe. So it just went here under programming, even though it could also fall under renovation. 14 of the suggestions were for the library space to just be used in a slightly different way. So different stroller parking, different arrangement of activities with puzzles for children in the children's library. a different layout of shelves, different organization of books, larger spaces for the bookstore, more study areas for meeting. And then other requests include a volunteer program, more programs for kids, more exhibits, more programs in general, larger historical displays and different book suggestion process, and more activities. When we looked at what would you do to improve customer service, we received 151 free text answers. 52 of the 151 were specific to customer service. The other responses were just people making suggestions about other things that were not related to customer service. 18 of those 51 customer service comments were specific to the library. The library received 17 compliments about customer service. And this is across all facilities. And then this is library specific, so that's kind of the breakdown of that look like. 14 commenters said that we could improve in staff friendliness or professionalism, or sometimes staff knowledge. 3 people said they needed staff to be more available. And 1 person said they just didn't feel very welcome in the library. Moving on to the next question. Just looking at the ideas, needs, suggestions for library room information resources. There were 257 total responses and 251 were library related. So you can sort of see the breakdown of the categories on the table on the left. 113 were related to library resources, 46 were related to library programming, and 38 were related to library upgrades, renovation, or maintenance. So we'll look a little more closely at the resources. And this is how that broke down. So 22 people wanted more print books, 26 people felt like e-resources were more important. 12 people thought that we should move some certain services out of the library entirely and focus on other things. 5 requested different publications. Some requested a resource librarian position or a reference librarian position, I apologize. And then see library, human services. Some people wanted to keep human services resources in the library. So it just goes down from there. And these are resource requests that just received 1 mention, but I didn't want to skip them entirely. So I won't read every single one, but if you just want to peruse them. I'll go by when Rose has had her bill. You can turn the page.
I can go through that.
Just looking a little bit deeper at the e-resources, since that was a major request under resources for library. This is how that broke down. Ebooks obviously very popular, then plus add Volley. You can see what you wanted us to add in that whole Volley.
Link plus is now should be a resource.
Oh, so I went through them by hand.
So these were people, these were folks, I'm sorry, Ashley, that were suggesting that we do or
Yes,
add these things.
these are all in favor of adding.
We
already have
All in the affirmative, yeah.
We have several of them already, so it's okay though.
They either wanted it added, or they want more of
More of
it,
it. That's-
or they want more copies
Or they're not happy
available on
with
it.
it, or-
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yes.
Yeah.
Trying to break something that's complex into a table. Sorry, no, it's all good. Tell us your ideas and suggestions for library information resources. So these are the programming requests. So this is how children, a lot of people, obviously, they want children's programs at the library. Adult programs was next up, more makerspace activities, a performing arts program, volunteer program, which we have. Teens and young adult programs, literacy support, space usage, and then there were several programming requests that just, again, got 1 comment. And the cafe did make it into programming on here, because I think they said they just wanted to have like a spot where they could buy a little bit of food or something. And then this was a sort of catch-all question at the end of the survey. What other ideas do you have for the library or for other parks and recreation facilities? So these are the ones that are specific to library. 7 people left a compliment. 7 people suggested resources. 5 people said something other than resources. Renovation, upgrades, or maintenance, again, making the parents here, marketing, communications, access, and programming, and then in the bottom 3 spots. And that is it. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to slice those up. This is just sort of our first pass at it after getting them categorized, so. If there's more that we should look at, let us know.
That's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
When we get a copy of that, it will be in the minutes,
It will be.
your PowerPoint.
Yes.
Great.
It's fascinating how much filtering just for like basic relevancy to the question that was asked has to happen. 2/3 of the customer service questions not having to do with customer service. It's very interesting. Can I just ask a quick clarification?
Yeah.
One of the results, had quite a few questions or responses about people talking about human services. And I'm just curious what that's covering when it's classified as human services.
But for the purposes of this survey, it's anything that we offer in the library, like job resources, homeless resources, I think there were several other, but those were the ones that came up the most, was like homelessness resources.
And when people are saying, when it's classified as people wanting to move things out of the library, are they suggesting alternatives, or is it just most people saying that these services don't fall under what the library should be doing?
Some people did suggest alternatives. They thought that it would be better housed with the county, or they need a dedicated person to do that, or a dedicated department to do that. Other people just made the comment of like, it just doesn't belong here, it should be moved out somewhere else. And other people said more of it, so.
Sorry, one other,
Sure.
just a coding question. There's a lot of, sort of gray area in between access and accessibility, and I was wondering if you could just say a little bit about how you drew the distinction between those two categories.
So accessibility, I really just wanted to focus on if somebody had a special need for something. So there were some seniors, and again, it can be gray, like there were some seniors who said, this is a safety concern for me because the door is heavy and this area is specifically for seniors and we're not strong enough to open it. That could be access, it could be renovation, it could be safety, but and at the end of the day, it was a senior with special needs, so it ended up in that category. So that went to accessibility. Access was just more of a logistics thing, so some people talked about the facility is not conveniently located for me, or there's now a barrier in the road and I have to make too many turns and I don't like that, or there aren't enough bicycle racks. So it didn't pertain to somebody's like ability, it just pertained to their ease, their convenience. Or even in some cases like fees, which is not so much a convenience thing, but that is more of a logistics thing that they needed reduced fees or a scholarship program.
Thank you.
Just really in awe of the work you put into this, or that was put into this, so thank you. And I have a question about the, changing your physical buildings, that one, where it was like 103 people commented about renovation and 86 were saying we should update or upgrade the facility. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit more about those answers and maybe any themes that were there. If I remember from like just browsing the comments, people were talking about adding meeting rooms or something. Were there any things you can tell us a little bit more about?
Yes, so some things that I did notice, meeting rooms did come on. Quieter spaces to study, so there was a desire to have like quieter spaces within the library, but not necessarily to make it so that there can't be no noisier areas, just that there could be divided spaces. There was also a request quite a few times for like better ventilation, which I didn't realize was an issue, but it was an issue for a lot of people. They didn't feel like the ventilation in the library was good, and they also did not like the lighting. Some people, when talking about the ventilation, they also would talk about like an odor or, and they weren't talking about furniture, they just kind of were talking about the air in general, that it needed better filters or something.
Thank you.
I had a question on resources. Was there some overlap, for instance, with people saying more resources or like regarding meeting rooms or regarding physical space?
For resources, no, resources was more used when I needed to categorize something as, like if we could just purchase it,
Okay,
if we could just buy it and make it into a collection, or maybe increase our circulation of an item, that's resources.
Okay.
And then the renovation was more for something we would need to make some pretty major adjustment in the building.
Right.
Even though maintenance ended up on there too, but maintenance ended up combined with that because of things like the ventilation where it could be that we just need to buy only filters, or it could be that we just need to replace them more often, or it could be that we need to put in a new system. So
Right.
those things ended up combined together.
okay, thank you. Any other questions? Comments?
Great job.
Thank you for letting me talk for way longer than 10 minutes, sorry for that.
All right. So I think we're on F3, okay. Library and community service, no, that was,
Yeah, you're right. We are
yes,
gonna,
library and community service, department statistics and recent activities.
yeah, this is the mostly standing item that has statistics and suggestion box, questions and suggestions and responses. If you have any questions or comments, let us know.
Okay. Do we have any public comment?
Do we have any public comment for item F3, library and community services department statistics and recent activities? No public comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item F4. Current and future trends in libraries, professional association, and academic publication resources.
This is just another sort of building the bibliography for the library. I called it future trends rather than future trends in libraries rather than library of the future, but just some more resources that staff thought would be interesting. Many of them are from professional library associations or from library publications. But there is a whole section in the ALA, the future or something, I can't remember what it's called offhand. But has a very sort of topic related like AI and makerspaces, and sort of breaks down sort of categories and trends that they see. Or that librarians are talking about that are coming. So it might be interesting reading, or it could be excellent, so horrific if we needed it. Depending on your mood.
All right, thank you. Ashley, any public comment on this item?
Do we have any public comment on this item? No public comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item F5, the library commission tentative agenda calendar.
Thank you, Ashley. I'm just going to do that myself. So we all there expecting.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Screen.
Waiting on, I just enjoyed the swimsuit dryer saga in the pump, in the pump feedbacks.
There's an ongoing, yes, see, you were spared from several heated discussions from different commissions. So here's our rolling calendar. You can see July is quite full. Coming up next month, we're going to be actually recommending the updates, the new work plan for the LC. We'll have another ad hoc subcommittee update We'll probably put a bow on the report out to city council. And right now, it's not really too full, but it can become full. Meeting with the chair and vice chair, or if other issues pop up. Down at the bottom is the unscheduled items, and that's where we might pull things up. We did one little bite at library and survey program results. We might take another bite at it if we find something interesting. We still owe you guys a couple of presentations, one on collection development. And a presentation on the first year of operations, so looking back at the campus. Questions, comments? Thoughts?
Meeting quickly. All right. I think we're,
I've worn you down at this point.
Yes.
So that's all I have.
all right, so that's the calendar for tentative calendar. Let's see, we'll move on to commission reports, Next is item G1, a report out from the ad hoc subcommittee consisting of Commissioners Crockett, Gordon, and Westcott.
I can pull that one up. Actually. Pull this up. You got it?
Sure.
Okay. Commissioner Crockett summarize.
I think we're gonna try to get it up on the screen for you guys.
That would be-
What's that?
Well, where is
There it goes.
Okay. Okay, so this is a summary of our work, and we just really high level wanted to provide, what we've done and how we did it. We were tasked with goal number 2 and goal number 4 from the work plan. Review library programs and services, identify potential service gaps for the specific age groups or affinity groups, and advise to fill needs to create the library of the future, as well as goal number 4, which, that is more directed at short-term or near-term capital improvements in the main library, the 800 Alma Street facility. So we went through, and Carol, you did a great job bullet pointing, all of the things that we did. So since last August, I guess, we conducted focus groups and with both the Friends and the Foundation. We also collected surveys from them and also, to this point, collected surveys from 13, 14, almost, I think, 15 teens who use the library. Some of them were youth Bellhaven. So there's some mix there, which is nice. And then we also took our kind of stab at looking at the survey from the department and separating out library comments. And trying to pull that into what we're learning about community feedback about the library. We were able to meet with our liaison, Jennifer Wise, who's the council liaison to the commission. As well as some meetings with Betsy Nash, Mayor Drew Combs and Jeff Smith about the library. And Library of the Future, sort of ad hoc subcommittee work of what we're focused on. And then we met with Rose and others on doing some national benchmark comparisons of our library with other comparable ones, including the ones we visited. So we visited 7 or 8 around us, neighboring, and with the same similar a lot of them with very similar demographics and similar challenges, of course, as our library. And we've had some meetings and consult with staff. And we have a literature review that was done by our committee and also others. And we also looked back and did a kind of summary of the library systems improvement project, which, work was kind of put on pause in 2019, once it was decided to go forth with the Bellhaven, library. And so all of that information was a lot of work by the city. It provided a good foundation of where the main library is at and is still at in terms of systems improvements necessary. And that, you know, kind of similar to what we're seeing in the survey results and what we're getting back from our focus groups. You know, main library still is facing an outdated and insufficient. It's not meeting community needs as it should be into the future. And so that's what we're trying to work toward getting at, how we can have some action items short term now. And, you know, I'm reading here, but given current fiscal environment and staffing needs, it's apparent that designing and building a new main library won't be undertaken in the near term. So this is just sort of a reality check. However, it's possible, and I would argue it's necessary to address near-term capital improvements in the main library now. And we can do that in many ways, to fill the service gaps and needs, and that could help us actually well into the future. And these are the possible near-term capital improvements that we've identified from our work this year, and most recently our meetings with staff as well as affinity groups. And you know, relevant to the air and the smell library HVAC. Bubbled up to the surface, and it does seem as though that could be a very good priority for near-term capital improvements that would affect and address community feedback on a lot of different fronts. You know, we talked about carpeting and things of that nature as well, but I think the HVAC we've learned is at the bottom of it. And then in our discussions too, we think that library space usage needs to be analyzed and assessed, because what we do have, we could probably put some thought into better kind of use, or maybe the floor plan use, doing it differently. But that it's gonna take a little bit of support and maybe some near-term capital improvements that wouldn't be hugely expensive, but would have a huge impact on library services and staff ability to meet needs. Bathrooms came up a fair amount with a lot of people we talked to, and the need not just to update the current bathrooms, but to possibly add other bathrooms in the other side of the building, which is used and can be used for different programmatic usage. And maybe we could use that as a flexible space, and if we could get some partitions and ways to use it as a meeting space, or to flexibly change the spaces that we've got in the library. But we do need access to bathrooms, and it makes it hard to do that when you just have the two at one side of the building. So that's another suggestion to discuss. Also the furniture and, you know, making it flexible, easy, comfortable, cleanable, movable. Same goes with the shelving and in a way that we can use flexible spaces. We discussed different, like I said, a different floor plan usage, so that there could be sight lines for library staff, that it, you know, comes down to staff being very overworked, I guess. To put it kindly, to be able to cover every part of the library, and they do everything so well. We've gotten so much complimentary feedback on our staff. But there's only so much time in the day, and there's only so much one person can do, so we do need more, we need more staff. And staff support, these are some ways to make their jobs easier and to, address some of the community feedback concerns. And then, part of that conversation in terms of getting, improvements with regard to the HVAC and as well as some of the flexible systems is how we could use the library, to be better equipped, to be, for an emergency preparedness place or a place for informational services. In an emergency or crisis such as, the fires and smoke or, flooding, which is happening or extreme emergencies with heat. So then that bears on the HVAC and a lot of the maintenance systems that I think has been deferred. I feel like we discovered that there's been a lot of maintenance deferred on the facility that needs to get addressed, and that would very much help. We would like to investigate the possibility of using the gatehouse, because their lease is coming up. Which apparently, I've learned is $1 per year for the junior league to use the space that the city owns. So some ideas were floated for the Friends, Library Bookstore or for library itself to use the space in whatever way sees fit. The trash recycling area was flagged as a problem area that needs maintenance help and those types of things that make it easier for staff to be able to do their jobs. And some of the brainstorming ideas we've had with the space existing is using the patio space and upgrading it with powered lights and a shade structure so we can have some indoor outdoor space for programs and also just to use generally. And as I mentioned, movable shelving. And one thing that did come up repeatedly was small meeting room spaces, reservable meeting spaces, and also community gathering spaces that were large enough for larger events. I think that was earlier in the list, but I missed it. But this is just a high level kind of suggestions to for near-term capital improvements. And I think is that the end? Right, because we also learned more about some of the challenges that library staff face, and we need to figure out how to address it to provide the proper support to unhoused patrons as well as others who are experiencing some challenges and would like to explore partnerships and possible adding specific staff who could help with these things that are kind of outside of the library purview, but at the same time are part of what a library is hoping to provide for the entire community. I think the staff really needs more help with that, and we've heard that time and again. Similarly, with the services and programs, English as a second language programs, and perhaps a partnership, that's something that we should be providing and programming, but it's very difficult to do with limited staffing, so we do need to figure out how to do that. And we did have a homework center and we need to figure out how to bring it back. But again, all of this requires more staffing to be able to do these programs that the community really wants to see and that I feel like Menlo Park expects to have with its library. And they also wanted to see, we had some feedback on educational programming events, a speaker series, some adult education programs on tech, business entrepreneurship. Teens actually talked most about environmental issues and climate change and wanting to learn more about that and having the library being involved with that. And again, like I said, the reason why it's difficult to do this right now is because we do need additional staffing at the library to be able to support that programming without compromising a lot of the other core services and programs that the library provides. And a volunteer coordinator seems like it would be a very important role to fill for the library. As well as someone who perhaps could do the tutoring ESL coordinator, or perhaps that's the same person, I don't know. But that was one suggestion for additional staff member for dedicated to the library. Was that?
I can make a comment, yes, that. On the first page, we covered all the things that we've been working on over the last year, and then these two categories of possible capital improvements and possible program improvements are really meant as a prompt for discussion by the entire commission. These are not our conclusions, they're more an attempt to get a dialogue going with everybody on the commission so that we have a consensus about what make it put in an ultimate report that again would need all of you to agree, approve on, so.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline. Exactly.
Right. And we can have further discussion tonight and probably at the next meeting as well. As we said, there's, you know, a lot of short-term issues as well that we can address. And hopefully next year's budget. Okay, so is there any other discussion? It's you know, so thank you for that. I guess item G2 is any individual commissioner reports.
Well, does anybody else on the commission have any comments about any of these bullet points or feedback?
Yeah, I answered that. Okay, we could go back to item G1. Are there any other discussion or ideas on? For now, it's a brainstorming type.
Commissioner, you will have. Hand raised.
Yeah, I guess these all seem like very interesting points and really great things to look into. And I know you sort of were asking us for discussion, but what is our action items here? Like, is the idea that we'll sort of like pick a few of these and try and advocate for them in the next year's budget, or with some of the affiliate groups, or what are you guys thinking would be the thing we should try doing as a commission?
Well,
I think that, yes, I think we're bringing this to the whole commission as a group to discuss it, to see if there is agreement on a set of priorities so that we could really move it forward, because we will want to advocate for the city council.
Right, well, I would just, bring us back to what the library commission's charge is from the city council, which is to advise them on matters related to maintenance and operation of libraries and library systems. So we're basically, through this report that we ultimately hopefully will all agree upon, we'll be presenting it and discussing it, and several city council members have suggested that they have a study session that is focused just on the library and what's going on, which I think would be really helpful to get them to focus on, you know, what the situation is, what's possible. I know our individual conversations that we didn't all, three of us meet with all those city council members that we mentioned. We had some different one-on-one meetings or two-in-one meetings. And it was very instructive to just kind of see their perspective and maybe where they were needing more information so that they could have an opinion. So, and I think this will also be helpful to loop in the Friends of the Library and Library Foundation so that they can also participate. They, show their commitment financially and time-wise to our library. So I think that if, with everybody sort of working toward the same goal to improve things.
right. And we could have further discussion on putting priorities. Right now, we're just a set of ideas. We weren't planning on making specific recommendations, but we could at least give priorities to different ones. Yes.
And oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Daniel.
Okay.
Yes, sorry about that. I was just gonna ask, was this included in the agenda packet, or will it be distributed so we can sort of like maybe look at it before the next meeting and decide what
Yeah,
things we each think
It's
are
attached
important?
at the very end,
Yes, it's
so
attached.
the very last attachment
At
to
the
your
very
packet.
end. I didn't scroll down far enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you. I think it's really wonderful to hear this, and especially today, where we had the summary, the free text comments and how much they echo each other, you know, the HVAC, bathrooms, carpet, those things. So, yeah, I was wondering about how to prioritize this, but you just mentioned that, so I think we'll talk about that more going forward, and I had a small question about the possibility of partitioning space that allow for like meetings or quiet rooms. Was there, did you guys have ideas about what that might look like? Or is there, remember someone saying something about that maybe being an easy win? Can you talk more about that one? Easy.
There could be, one of the action items also in there is to get some kind of, library interior designer that might have more knowledge of how you could use the space more, but there's been talk with staff about the back area somehow reorganizing and adding some kind of partitions with them. So there's, some ideas, but nothing that specific yet. But it's a priority. I think the survey study are looking at other libraries. It's community space is now part of the library of the future, not just sitting in quiet reading books. So,
Yes. Well, community, and also you can use the meeting rooms for individual, like if you have a job interview, it still can be individual.
Right.
so that's something that, maybe next year would be the next step in the ad hoc study of library of the future.
Wonderful.
And I might add, the commission's going to see a draft of our results. And we will have time for the commission to comment before it gets, moved to the city council. And I think all this will be included. So. All right. Any other comments? Questions? Okay,
Just so.
okay, yes.
As we're going forward with this, obviously I'm gonna need some more time to kind of fully process everything in the attachment. But it might just be useful as we're looking towards putting this into the report to the city council, to try to hash out a few specific material recommendations in conjunction with the feedback from the library survey. Just because if our goal is to try to convince the city council to pay attention to something, being as specific and actionable as possible, rather than more general sort of library needs, I think will serve us well. Whether that's talking about HVAC bathrooms or staffing, just having a sort of smaller number of very specific topics, I think would be helpful.
Okay. So we will live together, try to set some good priorities up.
Yeah.
Not just an open list. Okay. Good suggestion. All right. As I said, this will be discussed, this report and these findings at the next couple of meetings, so. We appreciate you becoming familiar with it and we'll have more discussions. So, all right. Moving on, any, item G2, individual commissioner reports. Do we have any items that people would like to bring up before? Okay. All right, thank you. we can move on to individual commissioner reports. This brings us to adjournment. Let's see. Any other questions? Then we can adjourn the library commission meeting, at 8:12.